Does WWE still know how to protect monster pushes? Or have they gotten complacent and forgot the payoff is essential for making a WWE superstar? You see, this is the topic of discussion today. And I was having this conversation with a friend, and we were talking about the fact that WWE today they always look for shock value in a wrestler, whether it's Logan Paul, Bron Breakker, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton. They always look for the shock. What is going to shock the people and get them to continue to watch? Now, initially, WWE is great at making stars look unstoppable. I mean, you have the moments, you have the turns, you have the wins, you have all that, you have the title reigns. But when it comes to protecting the push, when it comes to the payoff, we see that they tend to, at least today, they tend to be lackluster. They tend not to always pay off in the long run. And that's an issue because guess what? We're going to need more superstars to carry this brand forward. It's frustrating when you see that WWE continuously has to rely on aging talent. They have to continuously rely on talent from the past to make up for these gaps in the show. Because the payoff for some of these young guys, they don't let it go through. They don't let it be seen. So that is a big concern. It's a pressing concern, and it makes a lot of us upset when we're watching the show because we think, man, this person is unstoppable. He just came up from NXT. Now we hope that they know what they're doing with this person. Now when Vince McMahon was here, we had basically all we could do was pray that if this person makes it to the main roster, that they will continue to be as successful as they were on NXT. Because we knew that if you went to WWE, the place to be was NXT. Now, because the administration has, we'll say, they've changed a bit, and because Triple H is the guy that really started NXT from the ground up and made it to what it is today, we don't see a lot of when we see a talent go to the main roster, we're excited for them. Of course, there's always issues with booking that come up that we can critique. But overall, now it's like NXT is a spot to be on if you're looking to grow. But if you really want to make it, now it's time to get to the main roster, Raw or SmackDown. But there was a time where we didn't want that because we knew if a guy like Shinsuke Nakamura, for example, a guy like him was to make it to SmackDown. I mean, he had a great a couple weeks, maybe a month, a little bit, and then what happened after that? They turned this guy into WWE's rock star. Really? A guy who Vince McMahon saw as sort of like the Michael Jackson of the WWE. He turned him into this rock star character, changed his theme, and then you see him come out at WrestleMania. There's no reaction to this guy, and to this day, he's still struggling. That's what I mean about when I say the payoff and these pushes. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's go back to 2011. You guys remember Mark Henry and his run there as when he was inducting people into the Hall of Pain, and he had this incredible moment, with John Cena, like he was about to retire, came out and just turned the tables on everybody, gave him a World's Strongest Slam, and said, "You thought I was done, I'm just getting started." So he was one of the most believable big men and I would say monster characters in the WWE. And he crushed opponents. I mean, he won the world title and it finally felt like the dominant force that fans have been waiting for. So he was unstoppable for a moment, but they weren't able to sustain it. He could carry the top spot, but then he cooled off. They dropped him back to the mid-card scene, and the aura was gone. That monster push was wasted, and Henry He never got that long-term respect as a world beater sort of thing. And that's the issue. You know, I want to use the example of Brock Lesnar. So when we contrast a guy like Mark Henry did some incredible things in the ring, incredible moments, and I believe because of this run that he had, like they could have continued, they could have kept the aura around him. And that doesn't mean that the guy needs to be on the show every week to keep his aura. I mean, Brock Lesnar is a prime example. You don't have to like him. As a matter of fact, you can hate him, and you can have this desire of wanting to see him get beat up whenever he is back. You can totally have that. To this day, they've protected Brock Lesnar. To this day, can you think about this? Like 2002 is when he came on the scene. He left 2 years later, and he came back 8 years later. And since he's been back, 2012, we're talking 13 years, if my math is correct, or 12. Yeah, 13, I would say 13 years. He's been a main attraction. Has this guy ever fell to the mid-card scene? Has he ever? Has he ever, during his time here, fought for the IC title, the US title, the tag team championships? Has he ever? No. Every time he comes back, it's always the world title. It's always the WWE title. Why is that? Because they protected his aura, and every match feels like an event. The match itself feels like an event. And that's the difference between a monster push and one that lasts, and a monster push that just happens and then it fades away. That's what I mean. And there's a reason why this is a concern, because the future of this company is going to fall on the talent that we see coming up from NXT and the new guys that are on the show day to day, week to week, day to day. And if WWE wants to strap the rocket on any one of these, like they are with Bron Breakker, they cannot do what they did with Mark Henry. They cannot just have the guy have this year-long run and then after, boom, like he goes back to, the mid-card, or he starts, fighting for other titles. I mean, Roman Reigns, for example, at this point, he's never, I don't see him ever going back to mid-card. Like ever since he was Tribal Chief, like he's always main event. And he does not have to be here every single time, like every single show. A lot of people complain that, Roman Reigns looks like he's on the yacht, looks like he's taking a vacation, looks like he's, up, it's that time of year, he's going to be up for vacation. But you got to understand, though, every time he comes back, look at the reaction. Every single time. Because they understand this guy's aura, and they understand that where he is on the card, he's got to have that absence so that he can stay relevant. If he's on the card every single week, people will start to not like him. I mean, that was a situation with Roman back in 2015, 16, 17, those years. He was constantly being put in the main event. He was constantly here week after week. He was the one winning WrestleManias, and then the next night he'd be on the show. Like, there was no break with this guy. And as soon as he becomes Tribal Chief, it's like, if Roman Reigns is going to be showing up to a show, I mean, that's an event. Like, we're looking forward to it. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, how do you keep that aura? There needs to be absence involved, but there also needs to be this this understanding of your character and making sure that you do not overexpose it. You do not have that run, and then after that, it just kind of goes nowhere. You look at guys today. I mean, look at Logan Paul. Look at Bron Breakker. Look at Femi even. Femi's on the rise in NXT. WWE should be able to have these guys wrestle at least for the next 10 years, some of these young guys, and they should have that aura. They should keep that aura. It shouldn't be like, you know, they come on and then they have you know, their big break is this title run for 1 year, and then after that, it's kind of like, you know, they're working the mid card scene. They're absent from TV. They come back here for a little bit. They're absent. Like, you can't do that with these new guys because they are the future. They need to be the ones that build this company up, and they're the ones that we're going to see every single week. So I feel as if these days WWE is so focused on, you know, sort of riding the wave, when really, again, they're running the sprint when really they should be running a marathon. They should really be focused on the long-term impact of building up a character and what you can do with him or her over the span of multiple years. I mean, the fact that Roman is where he is today, again, I'm using him as an example because he's the most, like, the prime example of what I'm talking about. His aura is always going to be here. Doesn't even matter anymore. It'll always be here. Therefore, he will always be the talk of the town when he's on a show. There's no debate about it. How do you build stars up like that? That's what WWE needs to focus on. And I talked about, you know, in my last video, we were talking about factions. If WWE can understand how to tell a story effectively within a faction and thread it throughout the show, that's a way to build stars. That's a way to build guys like Bron Breakker. But again, they're falling off of that as well. Like, they're falling off a cliff when it comes to the payoff with these factions and the payoff with these monster pushes. So I want to ask you the question. Does WWE still know how to protect monster pushes? Or are they doomed to repeat history? Are they doomed to repeat what they did with a lot of other superstars in the past? I mean, Dolph Ziggler is another one. He had a world title reign. Remember that moment that he had night after WrestleMania? Loudest pop, one of the loudest pops ever. What happened? He started feuding with Lana and Rusev. Remember that? Remember that angle? He started jobbing out to Goldberg, right? A world champion. A guy who has a lot. So I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you guys think? Drop your comments in the comments below. Let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. And I'll be putting out a lot of more content next week. By the time you guys hear this, I'm sure you will have seen Saturday night's main event. And you will have seen John Cena's final match. So we'll be talking about that in the next video after this one. But until then, guys, enjoy. Talk to you soon.